All right, welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you can hear all the latest in television and entertainment news with too many hosts with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is
John Berwick, and the third one is
Kyle Bridger. I would say that I am the protagonist to John's Neil, to Dave's Sator. He's trying to take over the world.
I'll take it.
And spin it forward and go backward and still be alive. But is he dead? I don't know.
we really should have started the podcast with, and until next time, I'm David Allen, and done that
Yeah.
as our, because everything is a loop, everything is a circle, everything goes back from the beginning to the end and the end to the beginning. Finally, after months and months and months and months, we are finally talking about Tenet on the podcast. And we also have a new show that premiered on Apple TV Plus, The Mosquito Coast, which is based on a movie, which was also based on a book from the uncle of now the star of the TV series. Everything's connected again, just like in Tenet, just like in Mosquito Coast. Everything is all
'Cause-
connected.
Justin Theroux's dad was a writer, right?
I think, I don't know if his dad was, but I know his uncle wrote The Mosquito Coast.
I'm pretty sure he's like from a family of like writers, from like they were like journalists or writers or something.
But Justin Theroux also wrote Tropic Thunder.
I know, which is pretty wild. He has some weird writing credits on. You should check it out. It's
Yeah,
wild.
yeah. All right, enough of him. We'll get to him later. We have this first segment. But John, you got to help me. What is it?
In and out points.
Yes, it is. It is in and out points. Now, many movies during the pandemic, including Tenet, were eventually released on video on demand, before going to a free service like HBO Max. And later this summer, Black Widow will be available on Disney Plus for like $30, which isn't too bad if you can safely, pack up your living room with all the different people to get your full money's worth of that $30. Well, a Palo Alto-based startup, CNEX, believes they have a system that can essentially make sure you are paying per person instead of one flat rental fee at home. How? Their venue system uses scanning technology to count the number of viewers to let distributors charge them accordingly.
These people suck. These are the narcs of the movie world. What is this?
Yeah, so it's some scanning technology. You put it up there on your TV box. It'll scan the room, count how many people are in it, and be like, oh, you got 3 people. Oh, you only bought 2 tickets. Sorry. We're going to have to charge you 3 tickets for this. I can't remember which one of you sent me this, but John, what do you think of this?
I think this is nuts. What happens if your dog comes in and like hops up on the couch? You know what I mean? How is it detecting body heat or facial recognition? Can you wear like a paper plate with 2 holes cut out on it and like fool it? Like it's just I don't know. It seems so like not even dystopian. We're getting to like post dystopian at this point.
Yeah. Big Brother is watching.
Yeah, this is insane. I could not. I know exactly who said, "Oh, it's a great idea," but I just can't imagine anybody wanting this device.
Yeah, who's gonna want this thing? Who's gonna willingly put this thing in there?
Yeah, I think if it's like a service, like I believe Sean Parker, who's Napster, one of his many things. He had something called like the screening room, and it was like a flat, or you could buy movie titles or concerts or whatever it was for $50 flat rental fee, but you had to buy this $150 box. And this is going to be something I think similar to this, where it's like, well, yeah, if you want the latest movie, this company will have to work with distributors to offer these movies. Maybe they'll be the only chance. If you want to watch Tenet at home, well, you can only get it through the venue service, and then that's how they get you. It's like instead of buying whatever, a PlayStation 4 to watch a video game, you have to buy this to watch movies at home.
You know what this reminds me of? When the Xbox One came out and it had the Kinect, or maybe it was the Xbox One X, whatever it was, there was big concerns because they wanted to be connected to the internet all the time. And the Kinect on that thing can tell not only like who's who, but it can tell your heart rate. It can tell like certain parts of like where you've got like additional heat more than you normally do. So if you're like your mood in some cases, it can track your skeleton, it can track your breathing rate.
Too much.
This is trivial for companies to do. I mean, you look at the Apple Watch, how many things that can do by just touching you. Like, this is a huge privacy concern, and it reminds me of that. And eventually, that got toned down because a lot of people were worried about it. And I can't imagine anybody willingly letting this into their home if they know what kind of data can be gleaned from it.
Yeah. So the CEO said, "quote I wouldn't say monitor. I would say head count. It doesn't do facial recognition. It just makes sure that the number of people in the room matches the number of tickets." And then he also went on to say that the info will be treated like Snapchat messages. They'll disappear after they are sent, so it never leaves their ecosystem. And supposedly a machine is looking at it all, not a human. A lot of supposedly in that, because also, as we know, Snapchat messages, you can screenshot that. Like, so they don't disappear forever.
The machines are what I'm worried about. Like, yeah, someone watching me watch a movie's creepy and messed up, but it's the machine that's going to be determining how I'm enjoying the movie and what to recommend next, or what products I might recommend based on how I'm feeling during certain movies, or who I'm watching more movies with, that they can suggest more romance novels because I have a friend over who likes, the humans. Sure, that's messed up, but machines are what you got to worry about. So
I think it's worry about all the above. I mean, I know people that would willingly give up their information like this, but I'm not knowingly going to allow a company that's for profit, that doesn't care about a damn thing about me, I'm going to trust that they're using my information correctly, that they're not going to sell my information. Could you imagine reading the service rights on that? I mean, you'd have to look every time to make sure that there's nothing shady going on. But it's just this is, you are asking for it if you bring something like this into your home. It's just I mean we've
just
already
even
gone.
The privacy is one thing, but then I'm even just thinking from like a business standpoint, like how does it even work? I mean, how is it even reliable? Because it's like, as John was saying, okay, how's it going to count people? What if somebody walks in and then out of the room? Is it another person? Somebody comes in late. Oh, maybe there's photos behind you. Oh, it's counting ahead. Oh, that's an extra person just in the back. What if it like is it going to be the entire movie? Could you just do it for the first 2 minutes and then say, hey guys, everyone get in? Or is it on the whole time? Does it randomly turn on when you don't want it to turn on? There's so many questions with this that too much. It's too much.
This is bad. This is really, I think, bad news, Bears territory. I wouldn't want anything like that. And in fact, I hope somebody figures out what the system is and puts like a bunch of mannequins in their damn room and is like, all right, tell me how many people are here. How many people you think are here?
And then what? How's your review process? Is there a manual review? That means they would have to keep data.
That's true. So
otherwise,
you can like fight it and say, no, I didn't have 3 people there. It's like, here by this image you do. It's like, hey, you said you didn't take images.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
Maybe it's like when you rent a parking spot, like in a garage, where it's like if you lose the ticket, you pay a maximum value of something, and maybe it's 10 viewer max if you contest or some arsenine rule or something like that. Like I don't know. This has both waiting to be tricked and huge privacy concern written all over it.
Yeah, I mean, we're still a bit away from it because they announced this, and I don't know if they actually fully have the tech and product, like actually hardware, like ready to go. But then they also have to work with these studios and different distributors to even work with them to have the products to put on their service. And then you got to get people willing to buy this. So there's a lot of steps still, but it's kind of scary to just see that the wheels are in motion already. So
yeah, the technology is there. But I mean, if anything, the based on what we've seen so far, the studios and whatever should be against this because they want everyone to go to the theater anyways, unless they want to track you. If they have the ability to track what you're watching, maybe they're more willing to.
And they can know, then it's like the Netflix algorithm. It's like, well, 20 minutes in, it looks like they dozed off. So that must be a boring section. Oh, what was there? Oh, this type of scene. Okay, we're not going to do that kind of, like, they can.
Can you imagine executive meetings after that?
Mm.
Like, oh, we saw 25 minutes in, they didn't like this. This isn't good. We got to do something. Like,
yeah,
just like the breakdown of it's going to be crazy.
Possible. All right, our next in and out point tonight. Well, it goes back in time about 21 years, because 21 years ago, a woman rented a tape at Movie Place in Norman, Oklahoma. But in 2021, she's facing some serious stuff, and that's just more than late fee charges. She's trying to change her name in Texas, and after getting married, she wants a new name. So she goes to Texas. She's trying to fix things up. She learns she's facing a felony embezzlement charge because she never returned the VHS of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. 21 years ago, embezzlement charge for Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Wow. Is the company still around that she rented it from?
That's the thing. No, they actually closed in 2008. But since charges were filed, supposedly Cleveland County could still prosecute. She never knew about the warrant, but Sabrina the Teenage Witch, they're after that VHS.
To a company that doesn't exist. Yeah. Dude, can we just not? It's a movie. Like, what is she making copies of it? Does she even have it anymore?
Well, that's the thing. Supposedly to her, she's claiming ignorance, and maybe that's true. We'll see. But she said, quote, "I had lived with a young man." This was over 20 years ago. He had 2 kids, daughters that were 8, 10, or 11 years old. And I'm thinking he went and got it and didn't take it back or something. I don't know. I've never watched that show in my entire life. Just not my cup of tea. And I'm like, well, maybe you're just embarrassed. Like, sure. You don't want to be caught watching. Oh, you kept the Sabrina the Teenage Witch VHS, this random episode of a whatever ABC TGIF show.
You know what we got to do is have the other company look into her Netflix history to see if she's watching the new one as proof that she's into it.
There you go. There you go. It's like, oh, wait, why are you watching this other one here if you didn't like the original, huh? But then again, she did also say, I quote, "I didn't try to deceive anyone over Samantha, the Teenage Witch, I swear." So she doesn't know the name of the show that she's been facing a felony charge for.
Or it's like trying to fake like you don't know something. Like, I don't know Samantha the teenage.
Samantha the preteen wizard. What was it? I don't remember.
Oh my God.
But we joke, but what's like crazy about this is this woman has said over the last like 20 years she's been let go from like several jobs without like being given a reason. And she's now thinking to herself, it's like, they probably did a background check and showed that I have a felony embezzlement charge on my record.
Oh, man. That stinks.
Yeah, so.
That's like when people go to buy houses and it's like, oh, you had this hospital bill from like 1990. And it's like, wait, I can't buy a house because I had like a $2 copay I didn't pay? What?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like, there's been so many times where I feel like I had something with taxes recently, and then even like with returning like equipment. It's like, okay, I'm gonna return this modem or whatever to the cable company, and it's like, okay, your account's closed, and you go online. Okay, make sure I'm all caught up. They got the thing, no more bills, and it's like, well, no, your account doesn't exist. You close the account. It's like, but I want to see if I own anything. Well, we'll let you know, and it's like, what, 2 years from now, and be like, well, you never paid this $5 and you actually owe interest. And it's like,
yeah,
like they should have told her, like, I don't know, day one with this. 21 years they waited.
Yeah.
But supposedly Music's in the chat. They have dropped them now. So I guess they dropped the charges. So some update, according to the chat,
live
to the story, that the charges have been dropped for the Sabrina the Teenage Witch VHS record holder here.
Well, good for her.
Good for her.
Now she can go back and apply for all those jobs again.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, this woman is trying to avoid prison. Looks like she may have been able to do that. One Russian man has felt like a prisoner on this Chinese reality TV show. Vladislav Ivanov, a 27-year-old, was working on the show Produce Camp 2021 as a translator when producers noticed his good looks and asked for him to sign up as a contestant. Now, this program pits young performers against each other to train and eventually form an 11-member international boy band chosen by a voting public. Him and his fellow contestants were sequestered in dorm rooms on an island, and their phones reportedly were confiscated. He is unable to leave on his own without breaching his contract and paying a fine. So for months, he's been begging viewers to vote him off, and instead, the people keep voting him on.
Oh man, this is like a nightmare. They're probably doing it to him as a joke.
Oh my! What is the American Idol guy? What was his name? They like vote for the worst. Remember, like there was a whole thing where like there's this guy like really long like hair. I'm trying to remember his name, but he was terrible. But people were like, no, let's keep voting for him. And then he like made it to like the finals. See if I can find.
Is it Justin Guarini? Is that who you're talking about?
No. Because he was season 1. It's the American Idol. Sanjaya, or wait, is that it? Sanjaya, right?
I remember the name.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I'm looking on his Wikipedia now. He gained national attention to the series, controversially advancing to 7th place with the voting body because he was poorly received by the show's judges, including Simon Cowell. So they're voting against the judges. But yeah, he wants off this TV show. Can you imagine being like, yeah, he was just a translator, like being a PA, and be like, yeah, you want to do this? Yeah, sure, whatever. I got to. And then it's like, no, now you're stuck on this. And he's like, yeah, for months he's trying to get off, and supposedly he doesn't have his phone. He does
why though? Why does this show need to be sequestered? What
it's not Big Brother.
Wasn't it called Produce Camp?
Yeah, that's what it is.
What?
A translational thing, maybe?
It might be a translational thing. Let me just double check. Maybe I missed like a letter or something. Let me just. No, that's what it is. Right here. Yeah, it's a Chinese boy group survival show. It's weird because it looks like it's like a studio American Idol type show. I don't know. It's not Survivor here. The show brings 90 male trainees from different countries and agencies to form an 11-member group. 90 people, and he somehow made it to like the finals here. And every week he's trying to get voted out, and he keeps pleading with people, don't love me, you'll get no results. Please don't make me go to the finals. I'm tired. And he said, while the others want to get an A, I want to get an F, as it stands for freedom.
Oh man.
They're doing some like high pop, numbers, and he's doing these, I guess, a half-hearted Russian rap. He's doing anything to get off this show, and people are like, no, we want you on this show.
Oh my gosh, this sounds like a nightmare. I mean, to be fair, he signed up for it, but did he know what he was signing up for?
I don't think he knew what he signed up for. He thought I was probably going to be like, okay, there's 90 of us. I'm not going to get on. I'm terrible.
Yeah.
But 3 months later, he's still in it.
To be sequestered for that long. What is like the fact that if they have their phones, then they can like campaign, or
maybe.
I don't even know.
But then they can talk to the crowd and say, don't vote for me. I mean, that seems weird that they'd be able to do that and not like tweet. But
I don't know the policies here, but he's been finally voted off. In the finals, he was angrily eating a lemon for his performance. He was like not even singing at this point. He's just like, get me out of here. But it's like, I think at that point, if you made it to the finals, wouldn't you want to like just try to win at this point? Like, you made it this far. Like, what's one more week? I mean, is there a prize at the end besides being in the boy band? Do you get money? Do you get something? Wouldn't you want to like at least win?
Yeah, but I mean, if the prize is okay, now this group is going on a 10, 20 city tour of China together. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It probably is in the contract where it's like, if you win, you agree to like, to produce 5 records. And, it's like, oh my God, get me out of this.
Yeah.
But he's out. He's safe. At least, that's what we know. So hopefully he's happy and not angrily eating any lemons anymore. So. All right.
Angrily eating lemons.
That's all we got for In and Out Points. We have a show and a movie to talk about. In order to talk about them, we have to go back. So guys, send us back.
Back in time.
We're back, baby.
Gotta get back in time.
All right.
There was still a little bit of water in my mouth from the drink, and I didn't want to choke, so I had to do it on the fly.
All right. The Mosquito Coast series premiere, Light Out. It was on April 30th, Apple TV Plus, and it's about an inventor played by Justin Theroux who is disgusted with the corporation of the civilized world, uproots his family to Latin America, and a dangerous quest through Mexico to flee the U.S. government and find safety. All right, Kyle and I saw this, so let's start off. Kyle, what did you think of the Mosquito Coast?
I thought it was interesting. It did have me intrigued, even for the first 30 minutes, which I was like into it, and then it had like a little bit of a lull where this like is too long, and then it picked up at the end, which I really, really liked. I really am a big fan of Justin Theroux. So I'm down with it. I'm intrigued by it. I think it's worth it to keep going just to see where it goes. But overall, I would say I liked it, and it does look really good as well.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I don't know what it is and what Apple's doing, but I thought it did look very good. The cinematography, the things popped, the long drone shots they had. And then they're like following the police cars with the drone. I was like, I thought, really well done. And you mentioned Justin Theroux, and I don't know if it's some kind of like leftovers carryover, but man, I'm invested. Something about what he does here. I remember him in 6 Feet Under. It's just every time he's on screen, you're like, okay, something's going on here. You're pulled in.
Yeah,
him and his performance
for sure.
Before we get too much into the show, I want to ask you, Kyle, did your episode start the same way as mine? Because I was a really strange Apple TV Plus decision, and on my opinion here, it starts off with an Apple promo for whatever Mythic Quest. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But then it immediately goes into this season on the Mosquito Coast.
Yeah,
which I find baffling.
Why?
Before you watch the pilot episode, they're going to show you what happens this season in the show. Why would I want to know the moments of the season before I even watch?
Yeah, it does seem kind of weird to me. I mean, I've seen them do it after the pilot episode, but I mean,
I'm already watching. I already chose to watch this. I'm already in.
Yeah, I don't know why this would be for Apple TV. The only thought process I have was like, oh, maybe you can see things that you're interested in, and then maybe that makes you intrigued to watch it more. I mean, we're getting ever like increasingly, our attention span is getting lower and lower. So anything that you can get them to latch on to maybe stick around is something that you would want. That could be the only thought process I have for it, is that maybe
I've noticed that with like
you'll want to keep going.
I've noticed that with trailers nowadays, where they'll do this, especially the online trailers, where you click on one in like the first like 10 seconds, they show a bunch of stuff like boom, explosion, a crazy line, a big reveal. And then they actually show the start of the trailer. So it's like, if you get those, like skip this ad in 5 seconds, you'll see the 5 seconds. Like, ooh, I got to see this trailer. And it's to catch us before clicking away. But like with this, it's like I already said, I am watching the Mosquito Coast. Let me watch this first episode. And to me, I think the strength of this pilot was slowly learning stuff about this family and what the show would be. And it's like you kind of don't get that. I feel like I purposely don't even know what was in the season on, because I skipped it. I'm like, I don't want to know anything. I don't watch trailers. I want to be surprised with the show. I don't want to see the best moments and what's to come. because it might take away, because it's like we find out at the end, spoiler for the pilot episode, Justin Theroux, makes it out with his daughter to do this thing. Who knows? Maybe I would thought maybe one stays behind or one doesn't get found or something. But this season I'm sure showed them all together. So it kind of spoils the episode you're about to watch. But anyways, we do have this family. We have Justin Theroux, who's kind of like this. Yeah, he's this inventor, but it looks like kind of living off the grid. He doesn't want to be found. And at first you're kind of like, again, you're kind of piecing clues as it goes on. Why does he want to be found? Like, and at first, like, the daughter has a phone. You're like, is it because, she's talking to a boy? No, it's because they don't want the government tracking them and, having the phone call and stuff. And then we get this bombshell that they just kind of casually threw in there, that over 9 years, they've had 6 identities. Clearly, you guys are not good at this. You're not good at this. That's a lot in 9 years to switch 6 times.
Yeah, I mean, unless they switch randomly to keep the trail off, but because I can't imagine in my mind that you would possibly get made like 5 times and be able to make it out without getting caught. I just don't know how that's possible. But this brings up the question of, we don't even know what he's done enough to be like wanted by this many people, to have to go through all this rigmarole. So, and that question is still lingering.
Yeah, I definitely am wondering it, because at first it's like, okay, is it just is it because, he's been stealing money every time he's a new identity, he gets a new loan or whatever? But it's like, there has to be more, because the amount of police presence that were following him and like the amount of just chase for this, it was a huge deal. So I think there has to be more to it. We just don't know what those are yet. And I think he mentions either his son or daughter. It's just like, why can't you fix this? And it's like, this thing just can't be undone. And it's like, well, sure, millions of dollars is hard to undo if you don't have millions of dollars, but it's also like, well, if somebody die, like, that is hard to undo as well. So I don't know. And just watching it, I'm like, dude, this guy needs just to stop inventing, get a real job, just a 9 to 5, because even like the him, like, going to get the cooking oil and making it into fuel. I'm like, so sure, you're saving money and doing that kind of stuff, but it's like spending hours and hours doing that for very little return. It's like, maybe it's just better to get a job and just pay for gas. Like, it's just, but
I feel you. I think, just kind of switching gears a little bit, I think the perspective of this show might be good from the kids, and because we're kind of be like the kids in this show, because what the daughter and the son were talking to each other like, dude, dad is so smart. Have we ever thought about why this is such a mess? Like, somebody smart like this shouldn't be in this much trouble. Like, what's going on here? So I think they are going to have all the same questions that we are going to have. And I think we're going to learn it along the way. And I thought both of the kid actors do a pretty good job. I mean, the one is probably an adult, but I thought, I mean, you could have shows where kid actors really kind of tank it. So it was a pleasure to see ones that were actually pretty decent.
Yeah. And do we know, I'm just realizing this, have the children gone through all these identities? I'm assuming at least once or twice here, but it seemed like they were pretty, like, even at the point when he's like, okay, we practiced this, but you got to go pack a bag. And it kind of made it seem like this was like the first time, at least for the son, to do this, at least from him remembering it. But even if that's the case, 9 years, 6 identities, I think both the kids are over 9 years old. So it's like, they must have done this a couple times before.
Yeah, maybe they didn't realize it. Maybe something like that. I mean, the daughter has to have known something in advance, which is why I think she ran away in the first place. Not only that, but also she just wants to feel stabilized, and she has a boyfriend and all this stuff. Yeah. So I think that makes her, but I think she did have some knowledge before, because she's kind of questioning everything in the beginning.
Yeah. And as much as I am intrigued by this first episode, as much as I'm like liking the first episode, there are points in it where I felt like, sometimes in this show you get some of the best of shows like Ozark and Breaking Bad, but you also sometimes get like the worst of those shows. It feels a bit formulaic at times. The dad can't provide for his family, down on his luck. Daughter hates him, just wants to be with the boyfriend. Son looks up to him. It's like the beats feel familiar. So I'm hoping it kind of branches off more from that. But, for everything that was kind of, as you mentioned, like, starting to get, dull, things pick back up. And, so I think there was enough there to keep me going.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, the difference with this show is I felt like they were giving you the little pieces along the way. And we're also building character development along the way. It's not like some shows we've seen recently on HBO Max and stuff like that, where it's like through line and then boom, like bombshell right at the end. It was like we're getting little bits and pieces along the way, and now we're really building it up towards the end. It wasn't just a one-off moment at the end, like keep watching, boom, here you go. So that I appreciate more from the show than some of the other stuff that we've watched recently.
Yeah. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the end of the episode. I guess a little bit of a nitpick just with their kind of their escape here, but they were really taking, I feel like, their damn time when they found us. Like, they get to the place, and I don't know if it was like they're just trying to make it seem like, oh, everything's calm and we're just going to walk in. And as soon as we walk in the door, we got to rush. But even so, it's like they're having conversations, they're having fights. She has time to leave a note and run away enough to get some distance that the family doesn't know where she went. It's like they have plenty of time. And the whole time I'm like, run, guys, get the hell out of Dodge. Let's go. And then I was completely shocked when we get to the train and bus station, the daughter's there waiting, and Justin Theroux is just, walking in, looking around, and then they sit and have a conversation. And if I was any kind of person in law enforcement and I'm looking for this family, the people that keep skipping town and running out, I would immediately just have when someone stationed at the train and bus station there watching the door, to see if they could show up. And meanwhile, these two are just having a conversation, hanging out, waiting. And then there's like, no, get out of here, guys. Get out of here.
Yeah.
But then we get this moment at the end here. She becomes a superhero. I feel like a Fast and Furious driver. T-bones the cop car, takes him out of the wreck, drives off, saves the day. I was shocked.
And the truck is still alive after that T-bone. It's like, are you joking me? But whatever. This
was a little over the top. I'm like, how is she doing this? Even if I was in that situation, to be able to figure out the roads and okay, I gotta go up north this way and then take a right, and then I'll try to meet them at this intersection. It's like, that's a lot of planning and what ifs. It just really, everything has to work out. And then especially when you create a car accident, one, you don't get hurt, and then anyone in the car doesn't get hurt that you need. It's like, so it's a little unbelievable, but it was still a fun, exciting moment at the same time. So
yeah, for sure. And I mean, we're also talking this guy, if you want to really nitpick, this guy apparently has done something so bad that warrants thousands of cop cars going to his house, but then just happens to be driven alone by himself, that enough to be rammed in with a car. And then it's,
I will say, there, as much as they were giving us clues, I feel like they were a bit withholding when they do arrest him in a way. Because for the longest time, they're like, oh, you're arresting me? He's like, you're going to come with us. He's like, oh, if you're going to arrest me, what am I arrested for? And they're deliberately not telling us what it is. And it's just it was this whole thing. It's like, oh, just come with us. And it's like, it seemed like it was a voluntary thing. And it's like, no, there must be more to this here. But the police were kind of just weird, I feel like, in this episode. There was one point, maybe you would know better, Kyle, but the police come, they see the son with the dad in the parking lot. And it's like, why isn't this kid in school? And I want to tell none of your business. He's with his father. That's all you need to know. Maybe he's sick today. Maybe he has a doctor's appointment. Maybe he's, whatever. It's just it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, no way I think a cop could tell that from that.
Yeah.
There are such thing as like truancy laws where
Mm.
kid is not showing up to school, then the parents can be held liable for that. But that's a whole
Especially because if this kid is like off the
process.
grid and he's a homeschool student,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. I just thought that whole exchange was weird. It's just like, I don't know, he doesn't seem to be causing any trouble. He's with his dad,
Mm.
let him do his thing. But I don't know. Those are just some fun little nitpicks here. I think I'm interested though. I want to watch more. Maybe it's I'm leaning on the Justin Theroux charm. I don't know, but I'm into the show. I'll watch more. Kyle, are you gonna watch more?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna check it out. My schedule is starting to pick up with a bunch of shows that I need to watch now. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try and keep up with it as best I can.
Yeah, things are picking up. But yeah, Apple TV Plus, Mosquito Coast. All right there. All right. Next thing we're talking about, it's finally time. It's finally time to talk about Tenet. This 2020 science fiction action thriller, written and directed by Christopher Nolan, was delayed 3 times because of the pandemic, but after a theater release in September, it was finally released on streaming on May 1st. Armed with only one word, Tenet, and fighting for the survival of the entire world, a protagonist joins through a twilight world of international espionage on a mission that will unfold in something beyond real time. We're going to break down Tenet here, and I'm not going to pretend I understand any of this because I didn't. Okay? But I think I picked up more than I didn't pick up with this. So I'm going to do the best I can. I will say, if you're looking for some kind of recap explanation of what happened beat by beat, this is not the podcast. This is not it.
Yeah.
Just like a character that's in the early in the film said, don't try to understand it, feel it. Same can be said about this podcast. Just feel it, okay? Just go along with it. But we'll do the best we can. We'll mostly talk about the film as a whole, what we liked, what we didn't like. But John, let's start off with you. What did you think of Tenet?
Oh man, this was an interesting one. I think for the first half, up until we get to see the real first, what do they call them? Not the roundabouts, the turnstiles.
Like turnstile, yeah.
Yeah. The first time we see the turnstile with that blue and red room, up until that point, I was not into it. I was just like, don't really understand what's going on. Not feeling it. It just seems kind of weird. Once we hit that, and I realized what they're doing and how they're doing it, I was like, oh, all right. And I think the second half really grew on me. So I think I'm in the I like it boat. Yeah. I've tipped over to that side. I will say, though, I watched it with subtitles. I didn't even bother. Yeah. I went in with subtitles knowing the mix, and I know we're going to discuss it. But, yeah, I kind of like these movies that make me think, especially with time travel. I guess this is kind of time travel, but it's not really your standard time travel. It's not like, boop, you're in somewhere else. It's more like, whoop, you're going backwards. So, interesting. I see kind of how they could be setting up for a sequel, which would be a little weird. But I don't know. I thought it was interesting. At the end of the day, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's been a lot of talk, good and bad, over the months and months of its release, and I was like, I'm going in. I'm like, all right, Nolan, what do you got? And I was pleasantly surprised actually with the film. I definitely have some things that didn't work for me, but I think overall, just even technically, the production is there. We're jumping all over the world. Scenes are just like 10 seconds long in some places, but man, the sets and the locations are impressive. It looks great. The score and the soundtrack, man, it was bumping, man. What you expect from a Nolan action film, that's all there. And of course, the effects. It won an Oscar a week or two ago with the effects. The forward and reverse maybe got a little old by the end, maybe just a little. We've seen it played out so much. But man, those fight scenes in the beginning, especially that hallway fight scene, just them like it's forward, it's reverse. This guy's going forward. It's like this person's going backwards, and it's just like so much going on. And then even just normal fight scenes with I saw at one point there was a cheese grater to the face. So it's like there's a lot going on. There's a car chase, and it's like you're thinking about, because it's Nolan, he's probably really having cars speed backwards and filming this forwards, and it. So I thought, action-wise, technical-wise, man, it was good. Some issues with the script and story, but before I get there, Kyle, thoughts on Tenet?
I agree with most of what you guys are saying. Very cool in the technical aspects. Very cool fight scenes. Action scenes definitely are all there. Christopher Nolan does a great job with that. The mix is trash. It's just so bad. Like it's not even, we can talk more about it later, but it's just, you need subtitles.
Yeah.
Unless you want to hear the soundtrack when you go to sleep at night, because it's just blaring in your ears. That's the only way you're going to hear the dialogue. But yeah, production wise, I was thinking about it as I was watching it, just like all the moving parts. Like it's crazy that they were able to like make this all work. But I have some real problems with the acting. I didn't think some of the acting was that good. I don't think that the script was good enough for like to create chemistry between characters. So a lot of actions are taking place where it's like, is there really anything there to warrant this in the first place? So those things kind of got to me, and I'll talk about some of the other characters when we discuss a little bit more, but those are my initial impressions. Very, very, very impressed with the production, technical aspects of it, story and acting. I was kind of let down by and the mix.
Yeah, I'm with you, and we're gonna hit on all those points. We talked about what we liked. Let's talk about what we didn't like a bit. We'll start off with the script and the story. It's one thing to be complicated, but like 10 minutes in, it's like I realized, okay, I'm gonna need an explanation article, and I just type in Tenet, and of course all of them were like, explain Tenet, explained opera scene, Tenet explain. Like there's so many scenes. Like they need an explanation for every scene, and I saw one. And the first result was like Tenet opening opera scene explained. Scene can be confusing even after you've seen it multiple times. Still, we think we've cracked it. And it's like, all right, even after multiple viewings, these people that are geeks online can't figure it out. That's an issue. But
yeah,
there's just many points when I'm watching it. I don't know if it was the mindset I was in or what, but I'm like, I'd be like, wait, how do we get here? Like, wait, what are we actually doing here, and for what? Like, there's points where I'm like, so this whole thing with the art forgery, what's going on? Why do we need this? Okay, then what's this have to do with? It's like, the worst for me was like the final war scene. We got this like explanation. Okay, the red team's going in here, the blue team's doing this. Okay, and they're explaining it on the board. But even after all that explanation, during it, I'm like, wait, are we good? Is this going to plan?
Really?
I
like the war scene.
Yeah, well, I thought it was
my favorite part was blowing up the building from two different directions in time, where the building and then cool. It was like, wow, that was my favorite part of the movie.
I was saying it looked cool. The issue I had was, is this good? Like, did we win? Is this what we wanted to do? Like,
but maybe the blue team already knows they won because they're going backwards. So they just had to perform the actions.
Yeah, it's just like the whole time.
Wild thing to think about.
Yeah, so it's like, but even like the part where it's like, okay, the keychain on the back of the guy, and then okay, this person gets shot, and then they get it's like the point. I like this during it. I'm like, is this what they want to do? Is this good? Is this bad? Is this a success? Is this a failure? I just couldn't tell half the time in it, because I was just like, maybe I just missed the fine points in the guy's explanation of, okay, this red team is going in here and doing it. It's like, maybe I just missed a line in there that would have clicked it all together. A cool set piece. I will give you that. 100% agree. It was a cool set piece. Things I'm like, okay, that just reversed. I get that, but it's just, wait, is this a success? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, but I'm going to switch it up into something different. You say the guy that gave the explanation, right? Which his name is Ives. He just happens to come in the middle of the movie and is a big important part. Where does he come from? It's just like,
that's true.
There's no like explanation, introduction. It's just like, where is this guy? Is a friend of Neil's. Somehow Neil knows everything, and somehow this guy knows that there's mental pincer movements. Is it because
temporal pincer?
Yeah, the protagonist has already told him this, or is he have some kind of information? I was like, this guy is coming in out of nowhere, and he's just a big important part.
I know we're not explaining it, but I think what the point is that at the end, not Ives, the other guy explains that in the future they get hired to come back and do this, so they already know everything that's going to happen. It's just that the protagonist doesn't know that they know because the protagonist tells them later what they're going to do.
The protagonist
that's the issue.
Is going to tell Robert Pattinson later.
Yes.
It hires him later to come back and do
from
this.
The protagonist's point of view, who doesn't know what's happening, which is confusing until you get to the end and it really clunks in.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's like, okay, Robert Pattinson, as he walks off, he has to go in because he's on a different timeline to sacrifice himself in this war mission, because if he does it, then it's a paradox, and it's like he's on this one track, John David Washington's on another one to later. I get that. It was just I think in the moment of watching the scene, I was just like, when an explosion goes off, I'm like, is that good or is that bad? I just don't know. Was that the plan? That's all I was going with that. And between that and the acting, which Kyle brought up, I had two people, one worse than others. To me, Kenneth Branagh was way over the top, was a cartoon villain, a caricature. I like him. I remember watching him in some Shakespeare Othello thing, some movie. I thought he was one of the greatest actors. Maybe he's playing up the James Bond villain type in this, but for me, it just didn't work here. I don't know. And then it took me a bit. By the end, I was more on board, but John David Washington, maybe it was the Malcolm and Marie bad taste in my mouth. It took me a long time to unsee Malcolm and that character and that performance, which is really funny because in that film, he was constantly saying his name Malcolm. In this film, doesn't have a name, but like so those were my two, like by the end, it was better, but for me, I just thought Branagh was just was a over the top ham in this, but I don't know. What do you guys?
I can understand where you're coming from with that. I didn't feel that way. I thought his performance was fine. I did not like John David Washington's that much. It felt like him wanting to be James Bond and didn't have the oomph to do it. He just didn't pack the punch for me. So I'm actually the exact on the flip side of that of how you felt, but just overall, I thought Robert Pattinson was okay, but he was kind of like just an afterthought in the movie. So I thought he was fine, but I just had a problem with they also, this Priya character, right, is there for exposition. She had two major scenes, and one was like, you know what the Manhattan Project is, right? Well, I said yes, but I'm going to tell you. And then like she had another scene early on where when John David Washington and Robert Pattinson rappel up, and it's like, well, now we have this again. And it's just, it just felt like there was no purpose to her besides the exposition, and then somehow she's interlinked into the end. But to me, she had no purpose in the movie except moving the storyline along. There was nothing else to it, which I felt bad for Michael Caine too. I mean, these guys are two people sitting at a table, and the person I was watching it with, who's kind of an actress in her off time, said that there was just like no acting going on there. They were just saying the lines because it was a lot of exposition happening.
It's hard to figure out what they're actually saying. And you'll hear interviews between John David Washington, Robert Pattinson. They're like, I don't know what I was doing half the time. And Pattinson, I think he even said it, like, am I alive or dead at the end? I don't know. Like he's just, it's just yeah. I don't think character is one of Nolan's strong suits, especially in this movie. I feel like a lot of them were very one-dimensional characters. I mean, the character only is literally called the protagonist.
Yeah. Yeah.
One character I had issues with, maybe it's just the maybe not the performance, but more the character, was Kenneth Branagh's wife, girlfriend in this story here. Again, I think you maybe mentioned this earlier, Kyle, that like, why are these people connected and feel these bonds that we don't really see? And John David Washington is risking everything for this woman. Everything. Yeah. It's either World War III or her. And it's like, sorry, I'm choosing the one with maybe one life versus the end of the world. And there's this one line that she said, or somebody's saying, and it goes, I think Robert Pattinson's like, if this happens, everything that ever lived will be gone instantly. And she chimes in, including my son. That's our big concern. Like, yes, your son, but guess what? Me, you, everyone in the world is also gone too, and your son. But yes, everyone in the world is gone. So,
dude, you're coming from a utilitarian approach where it's like, we got to worry about everyone, and she's, NPR. We got to make it personal,
that
to
one
get the
son
story across. Yeah,
doing the Christopher Nolan thing he loves to do, like an Inception, where we don't even like see the face of the son. You see the back of the head with the hair. Yeah. That's it at the end. But yeah, including my son.
The son, whatever you want it to be. Well, my problem with the whole. To me, there was no chemistry between John David Washington and the actress. So it's like, you're willing to give all this up. And I didn't feel anything, at least in James Bond. It's like, I know James Bond wants to F this chick. You know what I mean? Like, I get that sense.
Well, here, maybe it was like nothing. He's a time traveler and he's already dead. I don't know.
But there was just nothing there. There's just nothing there for me to be like, yeah, he would do this. And then another point, the chemistry between Robert Pattinson and John David Washington, it was like, at one point, they were like just about to kill each other. And then the next, they're like, ha, 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 joking in the Humvee. And it's just like, this feels off. Like nothing is
when he thought when he thought Robert Pattinson was like a spy or something, because he knew his every move. It's like, yeah, because they're time travelers. But let's bring up the sound mix. This is, I think, one of our last cons of the film. I will say it wasn't as bad as I thought, because I went in with bad expectations. Then again, I will say, caveat, I was home, had subtitles on, and I did have to turn up and down the volume a bunch. So
there's actual like physiological, acoustical, visual processes that go on in your brain. The same thing with the Laurel and Yanni thing, but different when you're reading subtitles and watching a movie. You will actually hear words differently when you do that.
Interesting.
So you not having a problem could be a product of that. So keep that in mind as we...
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
I mean, to need even those to go into it, that's not a good sign. And I saw this article, I think IndieWire had it, where Nolan even has said he's gotten complaints from other directors about his inaudible sound. Specifically, they were talking about Interstellar. But they were saying that these filmmakers are telling him, dude, your dialogue inaudible. I can't hear it. And it's like, his like thought process is pretty much just like, well, in real life, in those situations, you just wouldn't hear it. But dude, like in this movie, when every detail and explanation and every little thing is so important, I need to be able to understand the plot. I need to understand what things are going on. If I can't hear it, okay, like I won't know what's going on. But
yeah. I mean, it was very frustrating to me because you do have to turn up and turn down the dial. And I will say, I'm not working with some like TV speakers. I have like a legit, I won't say like a legit, but I have a stereo, sound system that's capable of pumping out a bunch of bass and some good speakers. So to me, there were a couple of times where subtitles came on the screen, legit heard no dialogue. And I was like, wait, something was said there?
The specific part I remember is before they go in the vault for the first time, and there's two dudes talking to each other in like the foreground.
Yeah.
And there were subtitles for that. And I was like, who's talking? Are they off screen? Yeah. Do they matter? That specifically was like, what the hell? And especially because they're in the foreground, you think, oh, all right, real life, you'd hear them better. But no, because they're out of focus. Like, It's too much. I was watching it with headphones, and there were plenty of times where I lowered it or was not sure what's going on.
I was watching on my Game Boy Color, so that may have been also another reason where I didn't hear and see everything perfectly.
Hey, at least you got it in color.
Yeah. So okay. I will say overall, I like time travel. I went in with low expectations, pleasantly surprised. I would watch it again. I kind of almost want to now, especially since, I mean, the entire movie is a loop. I think I would maybe understand it a bit more. I think it would all connect better on a second viewing. But what do you guys think? Are you guys going to ever watch this film again? Would you recommend it? What would you say, John?
I would be into watching it again. Like I said earlier, I think they kind of set themselves up for a sequel. I don't know if you guys really felt the same thing, but I could totally see that opera scene taking place like further in the past than they make it seem, where like maybe he was like unconscious for a while and they turnstiled him
for a while. Who knows?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Because they could have done anything to him while he was unconscious. So I don't know. I could totally see that being a setup for another one. And if they did want to do another one, I would definitely watch it again beforehand just to remind myself. Otherwise, yeah, it might be a candidate for a few years once I forget and want to see some cool time action, you know. But yeah, your results may vary.
Kyle?
This was actually my second time watching it. The first time watching it, I was in and out, so I didn't have but this with the subtitles, I felt like I was starting to get a better grasp of it. But it shouldn't feel like work.
Third time's a charm.
To watch a movie. It shouldn't feel like work. I will say, very, very cool scenes. Some very, very cool visual scenes. Especially John's favorite moment was one of my favorite moments too, because that was just like, that was cool. There's obvious glaring problems, but I think it's worth an initial watch. And then if you're really into it, either checking out some explanation videos or watching it again just to get a better grasp of things. I think it's worth it. Do I think the movie's going to change your life? No. So we'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. All right.
Don't make it more than it is, basically.
Sounds good. We have one last segment. We're going to squeeze it in real quick. So keep these reviews nice and tight. Maybe even just check in. Maybe a quick check, if you will. All right, we're going to squeeze it in. Kyle, what is your quick check this week?
I believe my quick check this week is Mortal Kombat, which I watched when it came out, the weekend it came out. I don't know if that was last week or the weekend before. Fight scenes, very cool. And that's about pretty much what I could say about it. It's like a home video. It feels like a direct to DVD kind of situation. So it's a little underwhelming. I couldn't have imagined this thing coming out in theaters. If it came out in theaters, I would feel kind of like I got taken advantage of, just because it doesn't have that real like movie feel. Interesting to see those characters again. It's been a while since I played Mortal Kombat. I like the characters. Nothing innovative with the story. You really come for the fight scenes, which are very cool. And that to me is about the gist of it. So if you have a slow day, slow night, you want to check out something cool, action-y, reminds you of B movies from the 80s, go for it. I say go for it. But if you're not into that, then just skip it.
Yeah. So did you ever see the original? I saw the original and it
a long time ago. I don't remember it well.
Yeah. All right. That was on HBO. Tenet was on HBO. This is also on HBO. HBO Max. My quick check is Made for Love. We talked about the premiere in 338. I was pretty high on it. I wanted to check out more. I finished it, so I'm going to talk about the season. 8 episodes. I'm going to keep it spoiler free as much as I can in case other people want to watch it, including the guys on the pod. But I will say, I feel like they kind of wasted some potential on this. I feel like each episode, we didn't know where we were heading towards each episode, if that makes sense. I feel like if they had a movie, if they knew A, B, and C, beginning, middle, and end, where this was going, I feel like that would have been better. Every episode just felt like, oh, what's the thing for this week? Oh, what's our plan? and then like the next episode's like, oh, no more of that plan. Let's do this plan. And it's just meandering. It just didn't feel like it had a cohesive idea from start to finish. Lots of questionable actions and motivations by the characters. Specifically, even just why do either of these people in this couple want to be with each other at all? When you have this Bezos type that could get anybody in the world that he wants, and this other person that clearly does not want to be with him after these 10 years. It's like, well, why are you guys doing this? Like,
yeah.
And I kind of wish that maybe we would have gotten more of her trying to like outsmart him with his own technology. I thought maybe that's just me as a writer kind of trying to punch up the thing, which, why ask my opinion on this show? Obviously they know what they're doing, but it's just, it ends in such a way that I have many more questions, and I don't know if there's going to be a second season, but for me, it's like, what's the moral of this story? Because it doesn't feel like it was a good one. Maybe it's my interpretation of how it all ended, but it just doesn't seem like, oh, that's how we're going to end it, right? Oh, I don't know if I feel good about that. But yeah, Made for Love, full season, 8 episodes, HBO Max. That was my thoughts. I feel like I started high, and as it went on, it kind of it was just okay by the end.
Still worth checking out or no?
I don't know. Maybe give it 1 or 2 more, but I think if you were just so in the beginning, it's just gonna go down. I think.
I actually really enjoyed the premise. Yeah. So I don't know.
All right, real quick, John. What is your show and/or game?
All right, this week I have What the Golf, which is a game I played a couple weeks ago. Basically, the premise is you start off doing some golf, and I'll throw up some video here so people can see if they're watching. You start out playing some golf, and then it kind of turns a little wonky on you. You start hitting the golf ball, and instead your guy gets thrown, or maybe the golf balls are soccer balls, and you have to get them into a goal, or maybe it's a Metal Gear Solid parody, and you have to sneak past in a box, or maybe it's a Mario level, and you have to hit the golf ball to the end of the Mario level, or maybe it's a portal parody, and you have to get things through portals to get the golf ball in the hole, or a whole plethora of things like that based on video games, and really enjoyed it. It doesn't have a very high price point. It has a very really easy entry barrier for people who aren't really big gamers. I did sit down and stream it, and I played it in about 8 hours. Each level has a main goal, and then I believe 2 more additional optional goals that you can go for to get to 100%. And I really enjoyed it. I think it's an inventive game, taking something known like golf and flipping it on its head to be not golf. I mean, at one point I just saw it go past, you're playing Guitar Hero as a golf ball, and you have to hit the golf ball between the lanes to hit the right notes, and
that's cool.
Interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff.
I like that. That sounds fun.
Yeah, definitely something I would recommend. Like I said, you don't have to be a hardcore gamer to get into it. It's literally as easy as click and drag to aim the ball. Most things don't have a shot goal for the main level, so you can take as many shots as you want, and then some of the challenges do have that or have specific requirements and all that. So some of the more challenging challenge levels are a little bit harder, but again, you don't need to play those if you don't want, or they're not super hard. I didn't find any that I was really stuck on for more than a couple minutes. So
nice. Yeah, maybe I'll check it out. Music says it was good, so someone else liked it as well.
Cool.
All right, that was Quick Checks. Next week we have 2 shows to talk about. One old-ish, one new. Girls 5 Ever, new Peacock comedy from the executive producers of 30 Rock, and then we have Amazon's Invincible. It was recommended by our friends of The Good, Bad, and Watchable. It's this animated Amazon series, superheroes, The Boys adjacent, supposedly. Well, we'll check it out. We'll see if that's true. To find other episodes of the podcast, make sure you're following us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, the blog, doredundancy.com, and of course, twitch.tv/doredundancy. Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. Got to thank both of you guys for joining us tonight, watching Tenet, being confused. Couldn't do it without you guys.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. All right. Should I say, all right, welcome to Dual Redundancy. Until next time, I'm David Allen.
You got to say it backwards.
You can do that in the post.
Yeah, all right. I'm John Berwick.
And I'm Kyle Bridger.
And that's all we got for Dual Redundancy. Goodbye, everybody.